Hey guys, what's up? So it's time for a Phalloplasty Q&A video. I asked what video you guys wanted to see next, and you voted Phalloplasty Q&A. Apparently, you're not tired of hearing me talk about my wiener, so I'll just continue answering your questions. I also went on YouTube on the community tab and had you submit your questions, so I'm just going to kind of go down the list, answer as many as I can. And yeah, so I'm just gonna get started on that now. I'm also slightly sick, so bear with me if I'm sounding weird or nasally or mucusy. Anyways, question number one: if you got a chance to do it all over again, what would you do differently? I would, man, this is hard because like, you don't always have all the information you have before surgery as you do after surgery, but I definitely would like to have had the Bunkie Clinic as my original microsurgeons because I did not. This is why I have my graft so high up on my wrist. A lot of people wonder, why is the graft so high up on your wrist? They should have seen that was probably going to cause issues. And you know, you would think, but when they're not as experienced, they don't really consider the possible consequences. So I'm working with the Bunkie Clinic now, specifically Dr.Lin, who has been absolutely wonderful at coming up with solutions to fix the issues that were created in stage 1 phalloplasty from my original microsurgeons, who decided that I probably wanted more length rather than sacrificing a little bit of length so that the crease in my arm would not be so stiff, causing me issues lifting, causing me like some more swelling, circulation issues, stuff like that. So that's the long answer to that question. Would you be able to give a ballpark range for what is safe, for what is a safe financial amount to have set aside going into fallow? Did you do anything to prepare mental prior to surgery about accepting the possibility of complications? So ballpark range, it's hard for me to actually give that to you because I had insurance that covered all but $2,000 of my surgery, but you do want to kind of put some money away for any sort of hotel stay. So kind of calculate how long you're going to have to stay in the area, look at Airbnbs, look at extended stays. I stayed at Extended Stay America in San Rafael, closer to Dr.Chen's office at that time, but it's not too far away from the hospital either. Then, you know what, save from there and just do all you can to save, because you're not going to be able to work for a while too. Did I do anything mentally to prepare for the possibility of complications? I am a very anxious, like worst case scenario kind of person, so I'm always thinking of the worst things that could happen. So I definitely prepared myself for having a multitude of complications, and yes, I was really nervous going into it. So my expectations for complications were there. It's never fun dealing with them regardless, because at some point, you know, you do have a hope that you're not going to be a person who deals with a lot of complications, which I'm pretty grateful actually that I didn't have like major complications. I just had, you know, stricture issues and then, you know, some issues with my arm that I'm still dealing with. But in the grand scheme of things, like, it wasn't anything life-threatening, so I would consider myself a success. With how far post-op you are, have you shrunk in size at all? I've heard of that happening to several people, and I'm worried about how common it might be. So no, I think, you know, as the swelling goes down, you could lose some girth, but as far as length goes, it actually, gravity kind of pulls things, so you might actually gain some length as time goes on. But yeah, so no shrinkage. If you had to do it all over again, would you have chosen to use the skin from your arm, or would you have done it another way? Yeah, I'd still choose the skin from my arm. I would just choose a different microsurgeon than the one I had at stage 1. How long did it take you to get used to the weight of your phallus when it hangs? And what's the most comfortable position or underwear to wear when sleeping? Separtech, always Separtech has been my favorite while sleeping, just because it keeps things in front of you in a position to where you don't feel like it's being squished or you're gonna squish it, sort of thing like that. So if you don't have Separtech underwear, I highly suggest you check them out. As far as how long it took me to get used to the weight of my phallus, probably a good like couple weeks or so, it's always weird at first because it does feel a little bit heavy, but now it's like I don't know any different. It's absolutely nothing. I don't think about it at all anymore. Do endocrinologists recommend weight loss prior to starting on hormones or prior to surgical procedures? It depends how much weight you have to lose. I think any doctor would probably suggest that it's a good idea to be at your healthiest. I know that there are some surgeons that have weight restrictions when it comes to top surgery just because it can hinder results, and also it does put you at higher risk for things, complications and things like that. So depending on what your weight is or how overweight you are, it's a possibility, but it's not always a possibility. Did your surgeon tell you how many he does in a year? He did not. I'm sure he would tell me if I asked, but I didn't ask that. With everything that has happened since your bottom surgery, is there anything you regret now? No. Still, with anything that I've dealt with, I still feel like it's all been worth it, and any complication I've had has been manageable, so no. If you knew about some of the complications, like you had a crystal ball, would you do it again the same way? Yes. Well, okay, so basically it's the same thing. I would just really wish I had the crystal ball knowledge of going to the Bunkie Clinic originally, or having them as my original microsurgeons, but it was kind of out of my control because I really wanted Dr. Chen, and he was at Brownstein and Crane at the time. And originally, Brownstein and Crane worked with the Bunkie Clinic. Something happened there with Dr. Crane where they no longer worked together, so I was stuck with using the microsurgeons that they were contracted with at the time. Bunkie Clinic is now working with Dr. Chen, so basically it's like the dream team, and I wish that if I would have known, I would have waited a little longer until I could use the Bunkie Clinic, but there's no way I could have known in the time. So if I had a crystal ball, I would have waited a little bit longer. What's your ultimate goal with phalloplasty? In other words, define success or successful outcome. I think with any transgender surgery, the success is basically taking away from your dysphoria. So to me, that's been a success. Dysphoria and comfort level in my body has gone up tremendously. So that's what I would label as a success. I can be standing. Yeah, so we're good there. Do you know why phallo makes the hand swell like that? Because your graft, so there's no fat, like all the lymph system is basically interrupted. And I have this bridge right here. This is the only part that my hand really has to drain out any swelling in my hand. Whereas before, it would all of this would be clear, on this arm. So it disrupts the lymphatic system. So that's why I had the lymph reroute, where they connected it to veins in my arm so that it could, drain through the arm. I've been wearing my new glove lately. It seems to be helping a little bit, so that's cool. We'll see if it continues to improve. How did you choose phallo over meta? Also, do all the phallo surgeries scare you? I chose phallo over meta because you really have to weigh out your priorities. So my priorities were like penetrative sex and standing to pee. There's of course the possibility of standing to pee with meta, but it depends on like the size of your phallus with the growth of testosterone and kind of like your thigh size. If you're like a heavier set guy and you have bigger thighs, the chance that you are going to be able to stand to pee at a urinal are very slim. So basically it depends on your body type, and although I was a good candidate for meta, I really was just wanting the reassurance I was going to be able to use a urinal aesthetically. I wanted something bigger, and sex, that sort of thing. So that's why I chose phallo over meta. No, they don't scare me because I've pretty much had them all. Moving on. Is the phalloplasty surgery worth doing? I still have my doubts. I see a lot of guys having complications with the surgery itself. I mean, that's really up to you. If you have to decide if it's worth it for you. Think of all the complications that could happen, and if you think that even despite having complications, that it's going to improve your quality of life, or your mental health or your emotional well-being, then I would say yes, it's worth it. It was worth it for me. But that's not the same for everybody, so that's still something you might want to pursue thinking about. My friend told me that even though you already have a penis, you still don't feel anything. Is this true? I'm just kind of curious. I definitely feel things. It's not as like sensitive erotically as it was previously, but I still have erotic sensation. I feel like touch and all that stuff. I don't feel hot and cold towards the tip, more towards the base. I can feel hot, cold, and I only know this because a lot of the times I have cold hands when I go into the bathroom. So yeah, not true. What was the worst and best part of surgery? Worst part, recovery, definitely recovery. It was the slowest recovery ever, just because you have a lot going on, you have a lot of healing to do, so it took a lot of patience. Best part, yeah, you had a penis. Did your stricture go away from a different technique that the surgeon used, or just luck of the draw? I would say it was the new technique. I would like to say that. So, hopefully I'm a success story with that. I'm still, doing follow-up Uroflow tests and stuff like that with Dr. Chen, so hopefully it stays away and I'll be good to go. Now that you are well over a year post-op, do you feel all of your electrolysis paid off? I'm hearing more guys say that they wish they had done more hair removal beforehand. Yes, if you can, I would start electrolysis as soon as possible. Like, even if you're 2 years out, start electrolysis. I was about 8 to 9 months out when I started electrolysis, but it was like, it ended up being kind of rushed because I started doing 2 sessions a week. Some were for an hour or more, so it definitely paid off. I had an amazing electrolysis. She was really, really good at her work, and I'm just, I haven't had to have any hair removal post-op, so yeah, it paid off. How many total surgeries have I had? I lost count, to be quite honest, and I have another one coming up April 4th, so I have no idea. Have you gotten your erectile device, or has urethral lengthening screwed everything up? No, I actually opted out of the actually opted out of the erectile device for now, just because, knowing myself, I'm really picky when it comes to comfort, and I just am afraid that it's going to cause me a lot of discomfort in everyday life. So I'm kind of just keeping that to something that I might, have in the future. But for now, I just have my balls, my testicular implants. Those are wonderful. So yeah, no erectile device, but if I need it, there's something called the elator, which maybe I'll do some stuff on that, but I don't currently have that yet because it's like $300, but maybe one day. Has it affected my confidence? Yeah, I'd say I'm definitely more confident, like using a restroom, the locker room. I've changed in the locker room. I don't have any issue at all, like taking my pants off. I think I'd be a little bit worried taking off, like just being like butt naked walking around the locker room, but I've definitely just changed all of my clothes at some point. Am I overall happy with the way everything turned out? Yes, I am. I wonder if fat injection into the RFF neophallus for increasing or maintaining growth could be too risky. If so, have negative impact. So that is an option actually, but Dr. Chen said it's kind of like, it's like 50% successful. Fat grafting can be kind of iffy because it either stays or it doesn't. So it is a thing, but it's not always the best option. Out of all my surgeries, which would you say was the most painful? Definitely stage 1. There's just a lot going on. The arm, the vaginectomy, everything. Do you have any regrets after getting phalloplasty? No, I don't. Same with like the other things. If I had a crystal ball, of course, I'd probably just wait a few months so that I could have Dr. Chen and the Bunkie Clinic as my original team of surgeons, so I wouldn't have to be like going through any sort of arm correction stuff. But yeah, no regrets. I'm good. I'm happy, and that's it. I'm gonna end this here because it has gotten rather long. But hopefully I got to all the questions. If I didn't, feel free to leave more down below. And that is it. Peace out, guys. I will see you next time.